Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to my studio here on the beautiful coast of Maine. And today we are going to talk about some landscape photography tips that everyone should be aware of. And these are things that can save your day when you're out shooting. So it's happened to all of us when you plan a photography trip and things start to go wrong. It's really, really easy to get demoralized at that point and maybe even catastrophize the whole situation. And from there, the dominoes are just falling and everything feels like it's going wrong. And you stop enjoying that thing you love most, making photographs. So today we're going to talk about some tips to help try to avoid falling into that situation. And we're also going to watch a video where I did fall into that situation and I didn't necessarily take my own tips into account. Let's watch the video. We'll talk about it when we come back. And welcome out, guys. Grinder set too fine. So, I'm up in Baxter State Park and up here for the leaves, and they are pretty beautiful. I went out and shot this morning and didn't record it. Just wanted to get my feet under me for the trip, and not much happened. I got a kind of, interesting blue hour shot. Composition I've done before that I really liked. And the light didn't really pop off like I wanted, but I still think it was pretty beautiful. So, hey, have a look at the shot. If this entire trail is this way, never gonna do a 6-mile round trip in the time I've given myself. What I was saying on the last take that didn't take, as I was walking through the worst swamp yet, almost fell over. Luckily, I did not, and I held you, so you're still with me. Yes, I'm gonna go to Traveler Mountain. It's a little bit, it's to the first view is half a mile. If I want to continue on from there, I will. But I'm just gonna get to the first overlook and rest and have a good look at what it actually entails, because this is a 2-mile trip I've just taken to be thwarted by a flooded trail. So yeah, I'm gonna head to Traveler Mountain. I'll see you up there. Look at this view behind me. So I don't think you can see it, but Katahdin's over there. And I've just been shooting handheld with the 100 to 400 on the Z7. And we've had little bursts of light coming through the clouds to make a nice, model landscape. I gotta stop talking with my hands because the microphone moves all over the place when I do that. So I'm gonna hang out here a little longer. Ooh, we're getting some weird light over on Katahdin. That's Katahdin back there. So I ended up setting up the tripod and getting the camera going, and man, nature was good to me. I got this shot that was just crazy. So all this crazy mist coming down between Katahdin and don't know the name of the mountain on this side of Katahdin, and this mist was coming in and the light was just right, and oh, I guess I should talk about the composition a little bit. If you recall in the past, when I go to the mountains, I really like to do the layered mountain look. And that's what I was actually, like I said, blessed with. It was layer after layer with crazy mist clouds coming through the mountains. I thought it was beautiful. So, anyway, God, these midges are... I guess I should go fly fishing tomorrow or this afternoon. I mean, the midges are everywhere. So, and I brought midge nymphs with me, so we'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to be firing up my workshops here before long here in Maine. I'll do small group workshops and one-on-ones. Might be a link in the description below. And if not, you can get me on my website. Shoot me an email. Make a comment, and I'll get you hooked up. Yeah, this is Traveler Mountain I'm on, by the way, just in case you wanted to know that. And if you come here, the first overlook is not terribly hard. It's strenuous, half mile, and like this, but I didn't bring poles, so I think what I'm going to do is at least take the leg off this tripod and, yep, use that as a pole, because I think that'd be the smart, safe thing to do.
The truth is, I wasn't terribly happy with the images I was seeing on the back of the camera. Though they ended up being really nice images, I just couldn't see the forest for the trees. The day had been long and filled with little things not going to plan, and by the time I was hiking off the mountain, I was about fed up. I was in for some technical difficulties next, and at this point, I was beginning to tire of the thing I loved most, photography.
Just did an entire piece to tape and realized my microphone batteries were completely dead. What was I saying? I was basically saying that I haven't been entirely happy with the results I've been getting today. Not a huge amount of opportunity regarding light, but I'm about to head down to the pond. Light looks like it might go in and out of being good, so we'll give it a shot. I'll bring you along. This is the only microphone I have, so it'll have to do for tonight. So, as I was just getting set up and we had the light I was looking for, two people in a canoe decided to come up and come out of the water right, like, on top of me, even though the canoe docking area is over there. Light's not really working with me today anyway. You may have noticed during the day that my morale was slipping, and by the end of the day, I was rewarded with an image that I wasn't really satisfied with at the time. And it kind of made me feel like I had wasted my whole day. So you can't see it, but I'm sort of silently steaming inside and hoping that things will go better. But I'm allowing myself to dwell on these negative feelings. And that in turn leads to me feeling like nothing's going right, which then causes me to look for things that aren't going right. And you sort of hear that in the video, just to some extent. When this kind of poison hits your system, it's very hard to retreat from it. And I went to bed feeling pretty defeated. So I almost didn't publish this video, but once I assembled the actual video, I realized this video could be used to really help some viewers, you guys, to maybe not run into the same kind of situation when you're out. So I came up with a list of really sort of 5 tips that will help, avoid these situations and I'm hoping make your photography trip a much better place to be. So, tip 1. When planning a photography trip, always have an alternative to any subject you're trying to shoot. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, in other words. Like I said, forgive me, I'm looking down at my list, so I don't have a teleprompter. I'm not that advanced yet. All right. So that was tip number 1. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be ready to shoot more than one subject, because if things don't work out, you still want to enjoy yourself and you don't want to walk away empty-handed. So it's a good idea to have other things planned, either at the location or things you can go to. All right, tip 2. If the light isn't what you want, start looking for things that work in the light you have. Things like intimate scenes, different angles altogether. Remember, if you're looking at a subject and you have the ability to move around that subject and look at it differently, you'll find sometimes the light improves just by depending on the angle you can shoot it at. Now, this doesn't work all the time, but it is something to take into account. Tip number 3, if the composition isn't working, look around, walk to the left, walk to the right, walk forward, walk backward. Examine the whole situation. You may find that moving around, just tweaking the composition a little bit, can either improve it immensely or solve any sort of compositional problem entirely. So keep in mind that once you have something set up, that doesn't mean that has to be the thing. You move around and look at it from different angles, not even different angles, just left and right, forward, backward, important thing to remember, because frequently we beat our heads against a wall trying to make a composition work that is just never going to work from where we're looking at it from. But all we have to do is move 10 feet to the right, 10 feet to the left, and suddenly it begins to fall in line. So keep that in mind. Number 4. Now this one is really important because this is the one most of us have the biggest problem with. If it's simply not working, walk away. I'll say it again. If it's simply not working, walk away. There's absolutely no shame in ending an unsuccessful shoot. You are only a failure if you didn't try to begin with. So walking away does not make you a failure. It just makes it an unsuccessful shoot, and those do happen. I find that if it's not working, forcing it rarely ends in anything satisfying or even very good. Things that aren't working are just not working. Walk away. Stopping entirely and regrouping for another day or another location is frequently the right answer. Don't be afraid to walk away. Tip number 5. So, this is an interesting tip. When things begin to go wrong, take a breath. Assess the situation and pinpoint what is going right and reject the negatives. you're going to feel all of the things that are going wrong. And you're going to look at it and go, oh, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. But if you just find one or two things that are going right, reject the rest, and concentrate on what is working, you can end up with a much, much better situation and a really good photograph in the end. If that doesn't work, see the previous step. Step 4. It's okay to just walk away. All right, so I hope these 5 tips have helped you. I wish I had. I've lived by these tips, but sometimes we forget them, and I clearly wasn't. I wasn't as ready to use my own advice as I should have been on this trip. Regardless, I did end up with some really nice photographs, and that is probably the most important part of it. This is not really a tip, but if you think the photographs you're making are garbage, they may be not garbage at all. You just may not be seeing correctly. Sometimes we make photographs and we look at them on the camera and we go, oh, God. And then we get home and they're great. Or we wait a week and suddenly we're like, oh, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I understand that photograph was great? So this must be like tip 6, right? So tip 6, even if you think the photograph you've made isn't very good, just, walk away from it right now. Come back to it later. So this is sort of like tip 4, but walk away from it right now. Come back to it later. And you may find that photograph is great. And like tip 7, oh my God, tips are just going to keep coming. Tip 7, when you look at the photograph on the back of the camera, you can't make a decision on whether it's 100% good. If you did everything right, and your light was good, and your composition, the composition was good, and you made the photograph, and you look at it, you're like, that's terrible. It may not be terrible. It may be that your brain just cross-wired itself in the process, and then you looked at it, and it just didn't look right at the time. Give it some time. Come back to the image later, and you may find that it all works itself out. All right, so I made up 2 extra tips in the process. So now it's 7 tips. Regardless, I really enjoyed sitting and thinking about how I could have handled this situation better, because when that happens, it makes you feel really terrible. And if you just have some tools that can help you to process the situation in a way that's a little more effective and takes you out of that negative space and puts you in a positive space, then you're ahead of the game. That's 80%, 95%, whatever the saying is. It's 90% of the game, 10% is actually executing it then. So I want to thank you for coming out. I really enjoyed this video, even though, like I said, at first I was like, I don't know what to do with this. But I think in the end, this video will help a lot of people realize that if they just keep these seven things in mind, it'll benefit their end product, their end result, and their hobby overall immensely. So, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe. And if this was useful to you, yes, subscribing is what helps me more than anything else. But the thumbs up also gets me placed on the algorithm. So please take part in the thumbs upping and the subscribing. It doesn't hurt you, and it only benefits me. And if you think what I'm doing is good, then please benefit me. Anyway, thank you for coming out. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. We'll be back at Baxter again, by the way, and things got a lot better as I went. So, first days are always a little tough. Anyway, thanks again. Bye-bye.